Good morning. A lot of people have been contacting me and saying thank you for explaining, like say, Ireland and the energies of Ireland, the spiritual sovereignty of Ireland and the land, and gaining a deep understanding of the psychology of the land itself, and even spiritual consciousness of the collective of the people of Ireland, right? So a lot of people have been saying, like, thank you for explaining it through the chakra system, right? And we would associate the chakra system with places like India and Vedic teachings and stuff like that. Truth be told, I'm not explaining it through the chakra system. I'm only using this system as a base point of understanding, because otherwise it becomes very hard for me to explain it. Truth be told, this is a way more spiritually advanced way of looking at it than any kind of a chakra system, right? And even the chakra system that people talk about, I believe that's a derivative of Om, right? A derivative of Irish spiritual sovereignty, meaning that it came from here, not over there. And that's only a kind of like a watered down version, right? Om would be one of the most advanced forms of Vedic teachings and Vedic wisdoms and Vedic astrology and all of the above. It's way more advanced than all of that, right? And over years, it's taken me, I'm 20 years into it and I'm still only probably about 5% into it. It's that advanced. But I believe the real teachings of it is how it expands your mind and changes your relationship with the landscape that you're from. You no longer just become, let's say, a witness of it. You become an active participant in it, right? In the development of spiritual development of yourself and the land, wherein you see the land as, let's say, your external metabolism, right? So Ireland, at another stage, I'll get into how all these teachings got to India, and I'll go through Tokharian monks and how it got to China as well as that. That's for another day. But for now, it's just awakening the spiritual sovereignty within you, right? So obviously, I just use the points of the body that people will be familiar with, especially through different Vedic teachings, be it the chakra system or whatever. But in truth, Irish spiritual sovereignty is way more advanced than that. And I have to kind of start very slowly to get into it, because sometimes I'd be nearly afraid that I'd blow people's brains away, right? Especially when I get into the rivers and the in-depth of Ireland and how the land is so worshipped and the spirit of the land is so worshipped as well, you know. I can get into the waters of life, the different waters. Even when all the let's say the tribal elders of the world came to Cork, there was a reason they came to Dripsy Castle in Cork too, because that's all to do with the waters of it, right? And the reason being as well, when you look at, let's say, for example's sake, in Ireland, many of the rivers are named after god forms, goddesses, all of that. So it wasn't that they actually believed that the river was a god, but you worship it as such, right? Because it's to do with placebo. So you can take a drug that has nothing in it, but your belief in taking that drug has the ability to change your physical body and heal you and overcome sickness, disease, and the whole lot. Meaning that honoring your external landscape becomes the highest form of consciousness and healing, right? So you're just like a placebo. When you honor the world that you come from, that has an effect on the land and on you. And this is part of the spiritual sovereignty, right? So like all the rivers are named after god forms, even you look at the Boyne Valley, which is named after the Boan, which is a cow goddess, and the cow was always sacred in Ireland too, before India as well, like, you know. Again, I can get really into depths with the whole lot of it, but sometimes I don't want to, I think it's important to teach people slowly. So I've taught people before many times, and they get so in-depth into it, right, and love it so much because you're awakening their consciousness of their environment being part of themselves, right? And people fall in love with this. Where I've talked to people, and after talking with them, they'd collapse on the ground. The information be overwhelming for them. And when they wake up, they're like, thank you so much, Ger. You don't realize how much that means to me and all of that. And that's great. They start their process of developing their relationship with the land that they come from, you know. Sovereignty, that's what it is the land, right? So there's many different martial arts and teachings and how you can bring this right back and how you can advance consciousness through sovereignty and stuff. And one of these was, I think, we had a martial art in Ireland called, I don't like saying had because we still have it. It hasn't gone anywhere. Shlivaha, which means the way of life, right? So we would breathe in oxygen, And we get that from the trees, and oxygen energizes our body. So at the point we go to exhale and breathe out, our body produces carbon dioxide. So the slower we breathe out, the more carbon dioxide we produce. And the more carbon dioxide we produce, we directly feed trees and stuff. So our symbiosis improves with the natural surrounding. And people only breathe too shallow today, right? So through different forms of martial arts, and I'd be looking at talking to personal trainers and even yoga practitioners, Tai Chi, martial arts, Kung Fu, all of that. Let me explain how Shlivaha would work in an introductory level, right? So let's say if I was to breathe in, right? I breathe in, I might as well do it in the middle of the stone circle, perfect. So I breathe in, into your belly. At the point I go to breathe out, I'm producing carbon dioxide and directly interacting with my environment now, right? So as I breathe out, I'm visualizing my spiritual sovereignty raising in me through all the different energy points on me. And not just raising in me, actually raising in the land as well, the spiritual landscape of the land, like I was talking about all these different points. So if you, let's say, visualize meditatively, you connect with all these different points across Ireland, right? So when you're going through your martial arts, or you're connecting with your dantian, tuhadedanan, I will call it. Again, this is. I'm not saying your body is your tuhadedanan, but there's different access points in your body to access ancestral wisdom. And people like Thomas Sheridan would explain this as genetic memory being remembered and raised in you. But I will always explain it as sovereignty, and we can do that through martial arts as well. Like for example's sake, if you're doing martial arts punching and stuff, you're visualizing through your breath the power and spirit of the land rising in you, right? And not just rising in you, it's rising in the land too as well, right? So it becomes a very a practice of a martial arts and peace and morality based practice, right? Like I would see Brehon law as the breath, and you can bring back Brehon law through a martial arts perspective too as well. I don't even like using the word martial. I think that's wrong. It's a very sovereignty, spiritual based practice and stuff, right? So like it's not so much seeing, let's say, you are part of the land, but it's the land as part of you. This is sovereignty. This is true sovereignty, right? And it becomes like a healing mechanism. And it changes how you interact with the environment around you. You no longer become a passive observer in nature. You become an active participant in the cycles of nature around you, right? And again, this changes how you interact with all these different sacred sites and things like that. So Ireland itself, the land is always sacred, right? And era. Ireland is the commercial construct, right? And it's important to decipher both, right? So Eru, is the spiritual realm of the land, right? And that's what's rising in people at the moment. And again, Thomas Sheridan would call it genetic memory. I agree with him, but I also see it as spiritual sovereignty rising in people, right? And as this rises, again, it awakens your ancestral wisdom, all of the above, connection with your ancestors. So again, as your personal training, as you're training, you're doing martial arts or even running, through breathwork, you're raising the wisdom and power and spirit of your ancestors within you, right? And not just that, you're also visualizing it happening in the land itself. So again, my message to people who teach yoga, and yoga means breath, hatha means the breath, breathing in, breathing out. And I believe all that goes back to Shlivaha, which is an ancient Irish martial art, right? And it was the most outlawed martial art on the planet at one point because it raises consciousness. So as you have, let's say, yoga practitioners and they're talking about the chakra system, let's slowly bring it back through the sovereignty. It's a teaching of sovereignty and the different points of Ireland, right? And again, I only touch base on a small few because, again, we're going to slowly get into it. And I don't want to totally freak people out as I get into the depths of it, because you'll reach a point and you'll actually spiritually realize that you are the land yourself. And no matter what healing mechanism you do, right? Let's say people talk about different healing mechanisms and using different substances to attain different levels of consciousness, whether that be mycelium with mushrooms or different. You can use it through breath anyway. But you'll eventually get to a point where you are the land yourself. You are the land, right? And so that's why we have sites across Ireland dedicated to sun worship, all of the above, right? All of the above. Even stone circles here, right? For 6 months of the year, a shadow is slightly bluish, and for the other 6 months, the shadow is slightly reddish, which symbolises also in you, your heart, where you've oxygenated and deoxygenated blood, the red and blue, right? But when it's red, red symbolizes energy coming from the ground up, right? Because we think the sun gives us energy, but the sun takes energy too because it dehydrates you, right? But when it's blue, that means energy coming from the sky down, right? And that's like wintertime rain, all of that kind of stuff. But through these energies, you can perfect growth, right? And you can see I'm in the middle of a stone circle now, and look at the beauty of the trees around. So this would have been a grove around, right? And look how some trees thrive and all of that. But these would have been educational systems too as well, and connecting with the spirit of your land, right? Which is very important. So I feel very much at peace here, always do. I come here and I just kind of, when I come to these places, I go into myself a lot more, right? People call that intimacy, and into me I see. Again, I'd use Om and break it right down, right? But again, just to get back to the point, yes, I did introduce these teachings as a chakra system, but it's not a chakra system. It's way more advanced than that, right? Way more advanced. It's spiritual sovereignty. And even through Om, chakra, chak means home, ra means of light, Om of light, all of that. That's what it actually really means, right? So this is just to give you an understanding. But again, I can get into so much in depth that I can blow people's brains apart. And we can have amazing conversations with different people who are at different levels, but there's many different levels to this, right? And that's fine, there's no problem. But it's about spiritual sovereignty, right? So this raises in you, And when you begin to enter sites like this, like we're bringing back Sundance and all that, and working with the indigenous tribes of the world, right? When you come back to this, your mind, you'll begin to journey in therapy through different stages of your own consciousness, right? And let's say go back into dream time, all this kind of stuff, and you can gain a lot of wisdom from yourself and a lot of wisdom from here, and begin to heal and overcome many different problems you have, right? I'm going to leave it at that. So spiritual sovereignty, this is about raising spiritual sovereignty in you, and sovereignty is your connection with the land, right? So as this is growing in people, I'm only just explaining it to you, right? In a way that I hope you can understand. And again, any questions, please ask, right? So for martial arts, again, the points of your body, you correlate them exactly to the land. Exactly to the land in Ireland, right? The spiritual essence of the land. Meaning that there's different martial arts practices from many different parts of Ireland, and healing mechanisms, or we connect with the land itself, all of the above, right? So I leave it at that. And any questions, please ask. I'm going to slowly begin to go back through it, and I'm going to be explaining the metaphysical realm of Brehon law through the breath, and how Brehon law is what heals us consciously as a collective people, and teaches us how to function in symbiosis with the world that we live in, right? In the nicest way possible, right? Thank you very much.